What's up, everybody? How's it going? How are you doing this fine evening, this Monday evening, MLK Day? I hope you guys had a good day. If you're not in the US, it's MLK Day today. What are you doing? I mean, crazy, right? My day was pretty good. It was full of professional development. Being a teacher on MLK Day is kind of strange because you'd expect to get some time off to reflect on what the day means, but instead we reflected on how we can be better teachers, which is what I am. And it's interesting because we reflected and learned on how to be better teachers, and then I'm actually not going to be teaching tomorrow because school was canceled, because I live in Texas and we don't understand how to live in snow or ice. We have no idea. It gets crazy around here when ice shows up, and apparently ice is showing up like today or right now or something. It's going to snow and rain, and we can't handle snow and rain. And I can attest to that, being a Texan. I have no idea what to do in snow and rain. I do not know how to put like chains on tires. I have no idea how to do that. I don't know. Are there any other things you do? Wrap your pipes or something? I don't know what else you do in cold weather, because I don't experience that. Now I know how to live in 100+ degree weather, so I've got that going for me, because I do that every 2 months. Welcome to Texas. It's that's all we do is live in hot weather. But if there's other thing that you do in cold weather, let me know, because I need to figure that out pretty quick, since it's going to get pretty cold pretty soon. Anyway, it's probably colder wherever you are, and you may be in Texas along with me, and you may be hanging out in the no school tomorrow. I know there are some people. I'm not the only person who's a teacher that will have off. I know several other people, teachers and Dice Masters players, that have off. So if you're not here, or if those people aren't here, they should get here right now so that we can hang out and talk about, wait for it, the super rares within this set, which a lot of you have already said these super rares are way better than the super rares from the previous set that we talked about, and that is 100% true. I think across the board these super rares are much, much better than really, well, not any super rare from the Thor set, but a lot of the super rares from the Thor set. I think outside of the number one super rare from the Thor set, 5 or 6 of these just beat everything else, which is kind of crazy, but it is how it is. So it's interesting to go from one set, which was insane for super rares, to this set, this Thor set, which isn't as big. So again, what we're going to do, and I'll spell it out if you weren't here for the first one, because there were some people, or there may be some people that weren't here for the first one. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk through all 8, look at all 8 super rares, see what we think about each one, explain them. Maybe in the comments in the chat you can chime in with what you think each super rare can provide, can bring to the table. And then after we look at all of them, show them all on the screen at the same time, we'll go one by one, and we'll go and vote in a straw poll for each one, ranking from most powerful, which is 1. And think of it most powerful, competitive, or casual. Really, it's just most powerful. That's why I like the most to least powerful range, is because you can apply it to just about anything. Most powerful to least powerful. So 1 being most, 8 being least, and we'll go from there. And I don't think it's going to take as long as this last one did, though it may, because these middle ones we could argue back and forth on. At least I know I could. So let's go ahead and pop right into that and get started, shall we? First things first. Boom. All right, we have Blink in Betweener, which I was way low on when the set first was revealed. This is a 4-cost what-if character, meaning you have to have all of the energy types in order to purchase this, or where this in, one of the two. It's a 4-cost character with a 2/5/4 on top, 033, 144, 254, blah, blah, blah. And the top part of all of these what-ifs says the same thing. You can't use questions to purchase it. But the ability says when fielded and when Blink in Betweener attacks. So it can happen twice on the same turn, which is pretty cool. Roll target die in your used pile. If it shows an energy face, KO all opposing character dice that match this energy type. Then return that die to your used pile. So the nice things that this can do, obviously it board clears. It doesn't board clear a specific thing that you want. You can also have this board clear Multiple energy types by bringing crossover characters, which is pretty cool. So if you have a crossover character that is a mask and a bolt, if it rolls the mask and bolt faces, all your opponent's mask and bolt characters get KO'd. But even just pulling a sidekick, and I believe you can just pull a sidekick, roll target die, yeah, pull a sidekick, roll that, whatever it lands on, and you can do some stuff with it, right? So it can do some clearing, and I think, again, in this game, in Dice Masters, anything that flips the board state even just a little bit can be pretty good. Now, this does not remove sidekicks in any way, shape, or form, which is unfortunate, but I do think this has more going for it than I first thought when this set first released. Because I traded this away, which, I mean, I still, I stand by my trading it away because I got something pretty good for it. But that being said, I think it does have some more merit than it could. All right, next up we have a really, really great one. This is the super rare Boom Boom, which has the ability that says, when fielded, deal 1 damage to your opponent for each of your active characters. Also noting it is a 3-cost bolt with a 1/1/2, 1/2/2, 2/4/2 stat line. The stats are pretty horrible on it. You'll always have to pay to field it. I guess the 4/2 is not that bad, but a 2/2 and a 1/2 are both terrible for a 3-drop. But you're not doing anything with this for the stats. You're not getting this for the stats. You're getting this for a really solid win condition, a win fielded effect, which does get shut down by by a fair bit of things. But it's a win fielded effect that deals damage to your opponent for each active character. And this is different from a lot of other cards. And I think this was kind of pushed down or talked down upon, looked down on when the set first released. And I thought this was probably the best super rare in the set until I really started looking at Jubilee when it first came out. And now you could kind of argue both ways. And I thought it was the best in the set because even though it only counts active characters rather than active character dice, which is what most like Firefly and Norman do, when you can put just about anything you want around this to trigger it, it opens up a lot of really strong possibilities. So you can run control teams, you can run villain teams, you can put anything you want around this card and it will deal damage based on what you have in the field. And that is really strong. Flexibility in this game is important, and this card can fit on just about anything. And it combos particularly well with Collector, because it can come in with Collector. If you're running a team-up team, it goes really well with team-up. So there's a lot of possibilities with this card. And I'm a big fan of it, honestly. I'm glad that I think I traded for this one. No, I opened this one. I don't remember what I did. I did something with this one. So, next up, we have Cosmic X23. Cosmic X23 is one of those other what-if super rares. Cosmic X23 has a 1/3/3, which is the important side, a 1/4/5, and a 2/5/6 stat line. Her ability says, when Cosmic X23 is blocked, deal damage equal to her attack to all character dice declared as blockers, which is interesting. And then on the burst side, on that level 1 side, which is why I said that side is the most interesting, or an important side, also deal damage to the opponent. So we put a force block global alongside her, and we guarantee that she's dealing damage to the blockers, but it's not dealing damage to the entire board, which is what you'd kind of hope for with an ability like this. The fact that it's dealing damage to the blockers is nice. It adds some extra damage across the board. You can pump this up, obviously. You throw a pump global on your team and then just pay a bunch of fists or whatever you want to pay to up the damage that this deals, which is cool. This triggers after being blocked, so unless your opponent declares this as like the last blocker, your other character dice are going to get blocked as well. So this does not open up the avenue of attack, if you will. So it's kind of interesting, it's kind of interesting. I think it has more merit than some of the super rares from the other set, but I'm not sure it has a ton just in general. Moving right along. Whoop, that's the wrong button. Dude. No, where's the button? Here it is. Moving right along, we have Sark Colossus. Sark Colossus, which some people are down on, and rightly so, because they just printed this card yet again, only it's probably about the same to get, actually. 4-drop and what if super rare. And his stat line's pretty decent: 144, 166, 288. When fielded, KO all sidekick dice and deal 1 damage to target opponent for each sidekick KO'd by this effect. This card looks super similar, and if you're not sure what this card looks like, well, let me just show you. Because the ability, almost word for word, is the same as... Oops. Yeah, I could just pop that in. There it is. This card right here, right? So exactly the same as this card right here, except this card ability is arguably better because you get to KO all your opposing sidekicks, right? All the opposing sidekicks, and then choose how many of your own sidekicks you want to KO and deal that damage to your opponent, which is really, really cool because you, again, can decide to have blockers or not. Whereas Sark Colossus, boop, go away thing, only KOs every sidekick on the field. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I say it's a decent stat line for a 4-drop, but this is not a 4-drop, and this is an important distinction to make. These are rarely 4-drops. Any of these what if super rares are more often nowhere in. So you buy a nowhere and you get it in. And if you think about buying the nowhere, factoring the time it takes to get through the bag, let's tack on like an energy per turn, right? So if you don't pop the nowhere in or plan for your nowhere to cycle the next turn, you're looking at something in the realm of, you know, a 3-drop plus like 2 turns, which, you know, 5 or 6 drops, something like that. That's how it feels in value to me. And so this isn't exactly a stat line for a 4-drop. I don't think you can think of it that way. Unless you just like land the god roll of all 4 energy types on like turn 1, which would be sick, right? Then it is a 4-drop, and you see it in a couple turns. So thinking of it as a 4-drop, sure, if you want to think of it that way, but I personally don't. Here we go. Emma Frost. This is an interesting one, and it's interesting because it's not very good, or I guess it is kind of good, but there are some other things that are better. Emma Frost is a 5-cost villain shield character, the 135, 146, 257 stat line, and she says while she's active, your opponent must pay 1 to attack with each non-villain character dice. Character dice. Is that like a grammatical error? I think that might be a grammatical error. Hold on really quick. Let me show you why this card is like mediocre. Let me pull this up. This card is mediocre because this card exists. All right. So here we have pop. And I don't have the little cutouts. Ooh, that's embarrassing. Usually I have these cut out really nicely. This card is mediocre. Emma Frost is mediocre because Ra's al Ghul exists. So for 1 more energy, you're getting the exact same ability, which is non-villain character dice can't block unless they pay 1 more per die. But you're also getting a Villain Maker Global, which is really, really good because if your opponent has a hero that you really need to be a villain and not to attack, well then you just pay a mask, right? So you could argue that a 5-drop, and a 5-drop is certainly better than a 6-drop in that sense, but, and I say but, and I let that hold while I drink some water, but I would argue that the global on this card, on Ra's al Ghul, makes this card way worth the extra energy paid comparatively compared to the Emma Frost down here. That being said, I mean, you could still put Emma Frost on a team, 5-drop, you could still get to it fairly easily, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's certainly better than Earth X the Skull. What isn't? All right, moving on to Jubilee. Jubilee is a 2-cost, which makes her insane, because her ability says while Jubilee is active, when you field a sidekick die, deal 1 damage to target opponent or character die. And I think the or character die makes this really, really flexible and very, very good. Because this can combo with Inset Professor X Rare, you know, the one that has the global that pulls a sidekick in. You can put, you know, just fielding sidekicks, re-rolling sidekicks. Insect Plague is good with this card, right? Insect Plague is one that's getting really popular. Basic action that allows you to re-roll, or to roll every die in your bag, and all the sidekicks you get to re-roll a second time and field any sidekick that you want. Really, really good. Good with Cube, and it's a 2-drop, so, you know, it's easy to get with Cube. That's 4 energy to deal a bunch of damage, right? It's a great card. This is the fact that you can deal it to a character die as well means you can KO big things. You can KO things that blank. There's some gross stuff that you can do with this card. I think we can all agree that this is one of the best cards in the set, though how good is the question that we will have to answer here in a moment after we do some voting. Moving right along to Mimic, which is, I think, probably the most... I don't want to say the most confusing card in Dice Masters, because it's not confusing. I think the ability speaks for itself, but it is certainly one of those cards that makes you go, how do I use this? And I find that very intriguing. I don't necessarily think that there's a ton of broken things you can do with this card, which is kind of what you need in this game. I say that you need broken things in Dice Masters. You need stuff that's very, very unfair feeling, because there are only 8 cards that you can put on a team. And if you don't put something that's unfair feeling or something that's very strong on your team, then there's likely something better to put on that team or in that slot. Because you only have 8. And so you really need the 8 best cards that you can possibly put together. And so Mimic could fall into that category. He could not fall into that category. But his ability, and I should probably get to that, says, when fielded, Mimic copies the abilities and printed attack and defense of target character die until he leaves the field zone. Once per turn, when you could use a global ability, you may target a different character die, so you can just switch and he can become something else. If you do, Mimic copies the abilities and printed attack and defense of that character die. So the fact that he is a 5 purchase cost character, I think puts him in a strange spot. I mean, he's still really, really good, and he can be really good on the right spots. I personally don't know if there's really a huge competitive home. I think his ability has the ability. I think his ability has potential enough to be competitive, but I don't think there's a card that you pair with him that just breaks him, right? Or that makes him really strong. And that's, I guess, my personal opinion on it. But again, you could just vary completely. You could totally think something different, and hence why we will be voting here in a little bit, because the last card we're going to talk about before we jump into voting is the final super rare of Phoenix Storm, the final what if super rare, and one of the more interesting what ifs super rares. She's got an 033145266 stat line, and she says, when fielded, you draw a die from your bag, deal damage equal to that die's purchase cost to your opponent and all opposing character dice, then return it to your bag. Now this differs from the Tomb of Annihilation Scorching Ray, okay, because Tomb of Annihilation Scorching Ray only deals that damage to, I think, your opponent? Let me double check that. I know it doesn't do the exact same thing because I looked into that. Scorching Ray, Dice Masters, let's see. I think it only deals it to your opponent. And the answer to that is one character die. Okay, so deal damage to target character die or player equal to its purchase cost. So Scorching Ray is a 4-drop basic action from Tomb of Annihilation, and it can do basically what she does, except you only pick one character die or only deal it to your opponent. This deals it to both, which is way more powerful. The downsides to Phoenix Storm, and this is actually a card that I would like to play with because this is basically Breath Weapon, which I love. I love Breath Weapon and I love dragons. If you have never played a dragon team, go back to Battle for Faerun and pick up a half dragon team. Super fun. The downside to this is if you draw a sidekick, it does nothing, right? That's the downside. The upside is if you draw the Superman that discounts itself, then you deal a boatload of damage. And if you, for some reason, also have the 5-drop that doubles your when fielded effect, then you could possibly do it again. Which is sick. Which is pretty sick. All right, those are the 8 super rares. Now, I feel very good about myself because I sat down before this and I actually ranked all 8 in my own personal way. So I have a ranking for all of these already, which is pretty awesome. So I know what I'm going to rate everything. Now the question is, do you know what you're going to rate everything? Because we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to pull up the straw poll stuff, and we're going to go alphabetical order, posting this in the chat. Dragon teams are fun. You're totally right. Posting this in the chat. Your job is to tell me if this card, where are you, friend? Here you are, friend. Tell me if this card is the worst, best, or give me a ranking. And if you want to use each number once, then you can. If you want to double up, if you want to say like this is the 5th best and so is this card, because you won't have a tie or something, feel free. Because we'll just average this all out no matter what. So there is the link to the straw poll. Feel free to jump on over to it. I'm going to as well. Jumping on over to the straw poll. Tell me what you guys think. Let's find out how we feel about all of this. I actually have to go back and consult my my notes. Where are my own rankings? Here they are. I ranked this card. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, here it is. I ranked it this. I don't think you can see this, but I'm gonna add this screen to the chat. No, not the chat. What am I saying? Window capture. Window capture. Okay. This one. Okay. Pop that on over there. So this is what we think so far. Let's refresh it really quick. Pop. Wow, that's really spread. Look at that. So we got 8. A lot of people. 2 people voting 8. 7, 6, 5, 4. I think people have played with this card, and I personally think it's stronger than we originally thought. At least than I really originally thought, which is pretty cool. Shh. No, go away. Why is it doing that? Whoop. Why is it stuck? So most of us think, well, I guess most of us, it's a total split on that one. That's very interesting to me. I didn't expect it to be like a unanimous last place, but I also didn't expect 4th, 5th, and 6th. Let's see if we can refresh these results and see what happens. Staying the same. Staying the same. Let me pop that back on the screen really quick. There it is. Bow. All right. Next one up. And all of this gets averaged anyway. Copy. Paste. Needs to fine-tune his dragon team, he says. I am super pumped for dragons as well. Yeah, there's a couple people in chat here watching. There's like 14 people watching. Let's vote, man. Tell me what you think. What do you think about this coming card? This is, I should probably put it up there. To that one. Tell me what you think about Boom Boom. I'm a big fan of this card. The question is it the best, second best, third best? What do you guys think? Let me pull my own thing up. Hey, we got another vote for Blink In-Betweener. I'm going to add all of these to the same thing. Open up straw poll on this one. And I will place my vote. So far, 5 votes are in. I think this card has so much potential on competitive teams. And I think somebody mentioned it in chat. Who was that mentioned it in chat? That this is a backup win condition on every team that you put it on. That is 100% true. It can always act as a backup win con. Unless your opponent is bringing, you know, what do you call it? What's the one that shuts down? Matamask, right? Matamask or Reflections. Matamask or Reflections. I am going in alphabetical order, so don't just think that I'm going from worst to first, as you put it. I'm just going in alphabetical order, and you guys tell me what you think. Let's see. Let me see if I can add the little screen back up, the window capture, so that we can take a look together at what we think the voting is. Add existing, this one, and I want to do that. That's what I want to do. That's it. Doot. There. Let's center it, and let's send it. Boom. So far, that's what we have. We have 5 votes in. Come on, man. We got to get some more votes than that. Let's hit refresh. There is more votes in there. There are more votes. There's 9 in, which is what we had from the other one, I believe. Here's Blink In-Betweener. Blink In-Betweener has 8 total votes. Looks like seventh place has kind of settled for it. It's towards the bottom. Boom Boom is settling towards the top. We got 10 votes for this one. Third best. That's interesting. Which, you know, it totally could be because I can think of at least one, maybe two that you could put in front of it. So very neck and neck for first and second, which is what I expected, and I would imagine you guys expected that as well, because that is kind of where I would put it along with you. All right, so that's 2 down. So let's go ahead and pop that away. Let's do this one. Cosmic X23. Let me post it in the straw poll. I'm interested to hear how the middle cards in this set fall down. Because I think, well, obviously these are, like we said before, these are certainly better than the Thor sets. Excuse me. But ranking them amongst themselves, I had to sit down and really think, does this one play better than the other one? You know, which one plays more easily? Which one has more upside than the other? And let me vote really quick on this. Thinking about what I put. Yes, that is what I put. Vote. And let's pop that over. Let's see what we got so far. How many votes we have in? 4 votes in so far. 5 votes in so far. Hey, some people agree with me. If I show you right now, then you'll know exactly what I voted, which is fine. Let's see if I can show that. Click. That's what we have so far. 6 votes, 5 votes in. 5 votes in. I'm looking at a tiny version of the screen because I'm looking at it through the encoder. So we have 5 votes in. Come on, vote on this one, which is one of the more interesting ones of the set, because I think it does have some possibilities, but I don't think it has a ton of possibilities, personally. 4th best. 4th best in the set. Because it can take out a board, that's kind of a big deal. Taking out boards is kind of a big deal, but does that make it the 4th best in the set? The fact that you can, you know, chop down your opponent's board by pumping up X23 and forcing a block is pretty good, but it's also pretty slow. Cube with cube is good for some teams. Why are we talking about cube? It didn't even come from this set. Cube is good with everything, though. You're right. Almost everything. Except cube is not good with a team with no abilities on it. That would be silly. All right, jumping over to, and we're going to let that one run. Let's see if we can refresh it one more time, actually. Boom. Hey, there we go. 9 votes, and we've got several people voting 4th best. Are you guys trolling? Because I don't know. That doesn't seem like the 4th best to me. But that's just me, too. So it could be, I could be wrong. Next one up. This one people were hating on. And again, when they reprint it and give it a slightly better ability, it's kind of easy to hate on this card, which is sad because it's cool looking art. And I was actually excited when I pulled it, just for a moment, because I think it had some potential. That was before this next set dropped. All right, let's take the straw poll link. Whoop. And drop that on in right there. Let's see what you guys think about. Show me where you play it, please. Yeah, that's for sure. I won 2 matches in my draft event with him. With who? With Sark Colossus? Yes, you're 100% right. The biggest downside for crossover characters is the purchase cost, because it's not a 4-drop. Even though it looks like a 4-drop, it is much harder to get those all 4 energy to buy that in something like a draft or in anything than it is to just purchase a normal 4-drop. Right? It's not worth 4. It costs more than 4. Which is why I'm not 100% sold on some of these crossover super rares. My opinion on this card was this one. This is super interesting because you know, the Thor set comes out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. No. Right? 2 weeks ago? And there were some votes that were split down the middle, right? Some contested votes on certain ones of those cards, certain cards. These ones we feel like we know a little bit better, and I say that right as Sark Colossus gets some split votes here. I feel like we know these cards better because we've had them for longer, and we've seen them either be played or not be played, right? And so we have a better feel for it. It would be really interesting to jump way back to a really old set like Justice League. Justice League isn't a very good example because we all know Constantine's the #1 super rare in that set. You know, jumping back to like Yugioh. Oh, that would be fun. Jump back to Yugioh and say, what's the best super rare in the Yugioh set? Most powerful super rare in the Yugioh set. So 7 total votes. We've got 6th in lockdown on this one. Unless we can get someone to tie it. Someone hop in and tie it. I'll let that keep scrolling while we jump into, let's see, this one right here. No, that's not the one. Where are we? Yeah, we're on 5. Yeah, we're on 5. There we go. Emma Frost, 5th one up. Let's see what we think about her. I was big on this card until I realized that there was like just a slightly better version of this card. And then I was really sad because I want an Emma Frost that's pretty good. She's cool. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten one, which is a bummer. Yet, she still has a good ability, right? Which is the trippy thing. She's got a good enough ability that she can be run fairly easily. And you're not losing the downside. I mean, it's one of those questions of, if we're talking most powerful to least powerful, she's more powerful than some of the ones we've already talked about. But the fact that there is a card that does it better makes you question whether or not the power level is what it is, you know? You could sit there and argue because there's a better card that exists, her power level is low. And it looks like some people agree with what I think. Some people think this is the least powerful out of all of it. Which is your opinion, and that's fine. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys to see. Right there. Emma Frost. We've got 8 total votes, and tied with 8th and 5th, which is very interesting. Tied with 8th and 5th. I will say that I am in the 5th camp. I did vote 5. I am one of those people. So that's me personally. We're the least powerful in the set. And so maybe this is where, again, we talk top to bottom. If something is printed that's better, then this does have a weaker power level. But if you're comparing this card not to cards that, you know, exist outside of these 8, you know, is this the least powerful card out of all 8 of these? Which is what the question I think that we're asking is, what is the least powerful of all of these cards? And the most powerful of all these cards. Speaking of most powerful of all these cards, this is very, very seriously a contender for most powerful of all of these cards because that ability is just insane for a 2-drop. And the fact that it was printed means they knew what they were doing. There's the link. And and they just like, boom. Here it is. It could be, what am I most likely to use? We could do that. Like, what would be the most fun to play with or the most interesting to play with? We could certainly do that. But tell me what the most powerful is, right? The most or least powerful, which is what we're looking at. And this one, it looks like we have a good idea, or we all have a similar idea, for the most part, as to the rankings of the top and bottom of this set. Super rare wise, which is pretty cool. Going back and doing the AVX super rares, sure, we could do that. Uncommon Obelisk is the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Super rare. That one's really, really good. Water. People rate it more, yep. AVX, she is the worst. She's AVX. No, she's UXM. Right? Why don't I not remember? Yeah, she's UXM. She's UXM because Stretch Guy, whatever it is, Mr. Fantastic's AVX. And I don't think she's in that set. I don't think. I could be wrong though. All right, let's take a look at what the results are with 6 total votes. I would expect more votes for this one because this one seems straightforward. Oh, we got a troll in the midst because someone voted 5th best. That's silly. Maybe they misclicked. Maybe they just clicked the wrong button. Maybe they were looking for the 1 or the 2 and their hand just like totally stumbled. Something like that. Maybe that's the case. 5th best. Boo. Most powerful. See, 4 votes for most powerful. 2 for second most powerful. 1 for 5th most powerful. This guy. This guy, am I right, everyone? But that's all right. I'm not going to let that spoil the fun. 8 total votes. So people thinking this one is the most powerful. There's more of a leaning for this than there is for Boom Boom, which is interesting. 10 votes for this, 5 voting for most powerful, 8 votes for this, 9 votes for this, 6 voting most powerful. So this is the consensus as of right now, most powerful card, super rare card in the set, which, I mean, is not a bad stance to hold. It really isn't, because it's that strong. Here we go. Mimic. Mimic is up. And let me put the straw poll portion up. How's everyone's evening going? Are we all staying warm? It's starting to really feel cold here down here in Texas. It's supposed to just keep dropping, and not climb for like the next day. Hence why schools are closing. I've never been in a district, or I've never been in an area. That's the word I should be using. Never been in an area where schools have announced closures like full on before the weather has hit, and the weather hasn't yet hit, which is kind of trippy. What did I vote this one for? I should put that in. Yes, that's what I chose. And let's see what else people have chosen. I think this is a really, really hard one to rate. I really do. I think it's hard to rate because there's nothing that you pair this with that immediately becomes game breaking or that becomes really super powerful. And it makes you question, okay, if I'm going to pay 5 for this, what do I put with it that makes me want to pay 5 instead of just buying that other thing? Which is sad because this card could be super duper cool. Mimic is the weirdest one of the bunch. He's better if TOA Doppelgangster had Doppelgangster is from Hearthstone. Doppelganger hadn't come out right after that. I agree, and I think Doppelganger is better. Well, no, I don't think Doppelganger is better, but I think Doppelganger is cheaper, so therefore it might be better. Ooh, that's a good idea. Doubling the collector. So I've got to pay 10 energy to do that, though, which makes it slow, but it is powerful, certainly. That would be cool, though, pulling in 2 things via collectoring. I like the idea of that. Looking at the results, let's show those on the screen. Where are you at, button? Here it is. Mimic, consensus 3rd. Consensus, we think that out of the 7 people that have voted, 4 have voted for 3rd, which is what I voted for. Looks like we're on the same page, everybody. Good work. We're doing it. We're doing it. Majority is ruling. Let's go back through and refresh all of these. See if this moves. 8 votes, Blink 7th. 10 votes, Boom Boom 1st. 9 votes. Ooh, 10 votes. Cosmic X23 4th. Interesting. Sark Colossus 9 votes. 7th. Which Blink 7th as well. So this one has less votes for 7th and does it have more votes for 8th? No votes for 8th on Sark Colossus. So right now Blink is taking up the end. Unless one of these is worse. Actually, just kidding. This one least powerful, most people think. Emma Frost, least powerful in comparison to the 2 votes of Blink in betweener. Which is interesting. 10 total votes for that one too. Jubilee with 10 votes of 6, 3, and 1 at most powerful, and Mimic 8 votes, 3, 4, and 1. 3, 4, and 1. So the 4 is catching up. So So what slipped into third place? Which ones of these slipped into third place? Boom Boom? No. I guess we're about to vote for the last one that's switching into third place. Click, 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 boom. So maybe this one's third place. Phoenix Storm. Not my personal third place, but then again, I'm not everyone. So let's pop that in there. Let's all hop over and vote. Doubling Collector is cool. Doubling doubling the new 6-cost She-Hulk. That's Hulk. That asks you to spin things up. You know, like if you can't spin up, you deal 2. That would be cool. Doppelganger copies. That's the word I'm trying to say. I'm tired. Doppelganger copies abilities, right? You could just do that with Doppelganger. 3-drop plus the 5 plus the 6-drop, the 9 energy. That would be pretty sick. I like the idea of that. That's worth messing around with. Phoenix Storm. Where did I rank Phoenix Storm? I ranked her right there. Man, this is cool. I like watching. I like watching other people vote similarly and seeing the unification or the unity that we all have with these rankings. It seems to be that we all have the same sort of ideas as to what's good, what's playable, what's powerful, which is pretty cool. Bah, let's see. Uh-oh. This is all pointed down there. Why did you guys not tell me that these, this was, I just scrolled down too much. There we go. Let me just pop that over there. Phoenix Storm right now coming in at a solid 4th, which is what I voted for as well. Hooray, 4th place people. A solid 4th place, which I think this does have a lot of potential just because of the fact that it deals it to your opponent and to all their characters. And you can sort of guarantee, you can't really guarantee, but you can very much give yourselves the advantage when it comes to pulling something that actually does damage. You can fix it almost. You can't perfectly fix it unless you have literally nothing in the bag the turn that she gets fielded. But I think she's a good one. That's just what I think. There's someone who thinks that she's the worst though. So whoever that person thinks is the best would be interesting to know. If you voted worst, I'd like to know why. Be interesting. So Doppelganger becomes a copy. Mimic just copies the ability. So Doppelganger helps with Batiri battle stacks and such effects. Mimic copies active effects. And sure. Both work on things like anti-monitor. Sure, that makes sense. All right, so running back through all of these. Phoenix Storm with the 10 votes, 10 quick votes, and for 4th place. Pretty charging forward. So let's review all the way through what we've voted for. I'm going to refresh each one. Blink In-Betweener with a consensus of 7, and I'm going to actually average these out as well here in a moment. Boom Boom with a consensus of, well, I wouldn't say a consensus, really almost split down the middle, with one person voting 3rd. But 10 total votes, and she's edged out onto the 1st place. Cosmic X23 coming in at 4th. Also 7th. Very close. So there's a little bit of a split there. Sark Colossus coming in at a 7. I should refresh these. Let me hit refresh on these, see if just these change for any reason. Nope. Colossus coming in at somewhere in 7th or 6th. Emma Frost coming in at 8th or 5th, one of the two. She's got a playable ability though. Therein lies the question. Jubilee with 6 votes going in 1st. Mimic with look, he moved 3rd and 4th. 10 total votes. He's tied 3rd and 4th with 5th and 6th back there. And Phoenix Storm with 10 total votes at a solid 4th place. So if we took all of this and we averaged it, and let's do that. Take all of this and we average them one by one. No, I just need a blank thing. Just give me a blank one. Or just don't. Excel. Busting out the Excel Monday night. No school tomorrow, so let's do some Excel spreadsheeting. So if you take each of these and take all the rankings, Not even worrying about throwing out the outliers. Though we should we? Should we throw out these outliers? We didn't do it last time, and it seemed to work out fine. What, take the top, should we take the top 2 rankings and average those together? Does that make any sense? This one was voted on 3 times, this one was voted on 4 times, so let's average those 2 numbers together. Then toss out the outlier 111 votes. What do you think? Sound off in the comments. Does that make any sense whatsoever? I am not a math major, so I couldn't tell you if that were incorrect. I need somebody mathy to tell me how best to average them. Someone commented on the last stream saying it's not a big deal what you did, and that it worked out fine, which is cool. All right, here we go. Calculating all of this up. So Boom Boom, as we said, has a consensus of 3 votes for 7. No, scratch that. Boom Boom. Blink in Betweener. What am I saying? Blink in Betweener has 3 votes for 7. 7, 7, 7. 8, 8. 4, 5, 6. This is, I think, an easy set to kind of get calibrated on. Easy set to get calibrated on. How was everyone's weekend? I spent my weekend playing a little bit of Dice Masters, seeing, doing some work stuff, some teaching work stuff, and watching Black Mirror. Anyone seen that show? I love that show. I like that show. I don't know if I love that show. I can't watch too much of that show in one sitting, because if I do, I start to get really sad about life. That show is, what's the word? It makes you think about the nature of things, and sometimes I just don't want to think about the nature of things. I am very much a person that views television as escapism, and so when I'm forced to confront some stark realities, sometimes I'm not interested. But that's just me. Hey, feel free to just binge it all. It's pretty good. It's if you're very into sci-fi and like old school Twilight Zone, it's like a new school Twilight Zone with a ton of cursing. That is what it is. Where is Cosmic X23? New school Twilight Zone, ton of cursing and more violence and or stuff like that. What am I looking at? 7. Yeah, we watched. So they just released season 4 on Netflix, like right at the end of the last year. So my wife and I watched an episode last night, which was really interesting. If you like Star Trek, then watch episode number 1 of the new season, because it was a very, very nice little homage to Star Trek. Which I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. Like I watched a decent amount of Star Trek, but I can't sit down and tell you everything there is to know about Star Trek. But I know enough to know all the jokes that were in that. It was a really, really good episode. It was one of the better ones in my opinion. There's apparently one really good one that I've kind of avoided watching because it talks about a child, and it's weird watching shows that, you know, may or may not do something to a child, like danger to a child, that sort of thing. That didn't faze me or affect me at all before I had children. And then I had children, and all of a sudden it started to, because you see your own children within that same thing, within that same frame. You put your own child's face onto. Oh, it's scary. You put your own child's face onto that child that's in that show, and it doesn't end well in your mind. At least I do. Maybe some people don't. Maybe that makes me really weird. Nevertheless, I haven't watched. I think it's like I forgot what the name of the episode was. It's the second episode of the new season. I have not watched that one, so no spoilers if you have. Or tell me if it's worth watching, because a lot of people said it was. Almost done calculating. Yeah, I should really think about throwing out the outliers on some of those. Whatever. We kind of it seems like we have an understanding of what's best and what's worst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is cool. And I think this just corroborates that. So yeah, I plan on maybe watching another one of those episodes. Since neither me or my wife, we are both teachers, since neither of us have, wow, that is a close finish to the top 2. Neither of us have school tomorrow. Both of our districts canceled school tomorrow because of the roads. Maybe we will watch one. Maybe we'll watch that second episode. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6. Copy, paste. Maybe it's not that close of a finish. Maybe, oh, it's not that close of a finish. Or is it? Gotta double check all my math is correct before I, ooh, just kidding on that. Before I make any huge errors. Yeah, like this. Huh. All right, last one, Jubilee. Dang, Jubilee. Jubilee. Oh yeah, I gotta throw out outliers. The person who voted 5th kind of burned that one down. So I don't think, well, but then again, maybe that's that person's opinion. So maybe I don't. Maybe I don't do that. Who would say otherwise? 4, 4, 4, 4. 3, 3. 3, 3, 5, 6. 4, 8. All right. Fairly certain that my math is all correct. Let's pop back over here. Transition back. Let's find a better screen. What's a better screen? Let's look at this one. This one that has everything. Transition back. Here we go. So here are the results. Let me see if I can grab these and post them in order. With in 8th place, with a total of 6.5 points. Let me go over here and show you which one people voted for. 8th place. I have all this on different screens so that I can show you in different ways. 8th place, 6.5, Blink In-Betweener, which I personally put in 8th place as well, but that's just me. It does have some abilities that could, as I was saying before, I think this has more merit than I gave it, but I don't think it is more powerful than just about anything else. And you could argue between this one and, well, I won't say which other ones you could argue it with because that's totally your opinion, but we'll just keep trucking and looking at the ranking. So that's last place, that's 8th place. And let me put that down there. 7th place, just literally a point behind it, like at 6.4, 0.1 behind it. And this is kind of what I expected to happen. So let me see if I can pull that up really quick. What I expected to occur was that we wouldn't 100% know how to best transition away. Nope, it's not going to do it. How to best rate this card. Because there's a card that does exactly the same thing for 1 more energy and gives you a global with it. So this was 7th place with 6.4 of the vote. And I think this fits on more teams. So I could see it going both ways. I could see you saying there's something that's more powerful than this. But I think if I'm looking at it, and I think I voted this like 5th. What did I vote this? Yeah, I voted this 5th. If I'm looking at all 8 of these cards and I'm only thinking of an 8-card sample size, and I'm not thinking about anything else that exists in the game, just these 8 cards, I think this is the 5th best card card in this this ranking, or 5th most powerful card in this ranking. So that's how I viewed this, and that's how I was hoping that we would take a look. But again, you could just go, well, you know, why would you think of just these 8 cards when there's this whole set that you can sit here and play with? And I could see that argument too. So that is the 7th best card in these 8. Looking at the one after that is this one. Let me write it down and then pop over to it. Not that one, not that one. This one. Sark Colossus, which is a decent card, except for the fact that we have, again, a card that does exactly the same thing for 7. So take that for what it is. 7 energy you have to get to in order to buy that Ragnarok, which, if you don't remember what that looks like, it looks like this, right? So if you don't remember, Ragnarok here does very much the same thing, except you get to choose to not KO all of your sidekicks, and you can choose how many you want. So this was, and I think this is a playable ability. It's a win con, and so I think it automatically puts itself in front of non-win con super rares. But I think all of these in this set are win cons to certain extents. I think Blink in Betweener, just because it only focuses on KOing the board, isn't necessarily a win con as much as these cards are, these other ones. But this one was ranked slightly more highly than some of the others. So that is the 6th place. In 5th place, in the 5th place voting, let me see if I can find it. Where are you at? Not that one. Nope, that's not happening. Is Cosmic X23. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, that's Cosmic X23. Yeah, right? Let me double check. I don't want to have put something in the wrong spot. Double checking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is 5th place. Cosmic X23. Man, I just struggle. There's a lot to put around this one. There's a lot. So you have to have the pumping global, and you have to have the force block global, and then you also have to kind of want it to be on the bottom side, which means you have to put more into it to make more of an effect. But the fact that you can wipe your opponent's board again is, I guess, good. Is really good. Let's see, where did I put this card? I put this card 7th. Because it does basically the same thing as Blink in Betweener. I think maybe, you know, more I think about it, maybe I would put Blink in Betweener ahead of this, because Blink in Betweener is easier to activate. Not easier to activate. Well, I guess it is easier to activate. It's easier to make good, Blink in Betweener, because it just kind of does its own thing already. Whereas this, you need to add things to it. So I would probably switch those rankings myself. But this is the one that was consensus voted 5th place. And this is the one that we were pretty split on. If you can see here. Where are you at? Comic X23. This one we were pretty split on, it would appear. 4, 4, 4, 4, 7, 7, 7, 3, 5, 8. So take that for what it is, and if you disagree, that's totally up to you to disagree. Next up, in 4th place, let's pull it up. Oh, weather's coming. The weather's coming. Here it comes. I'm all about it, though. I'm fine with the weather. All right, next up. I gotta sit here and find it in all of these little buttons. I should have just labeled these better. Phoenix Storm in 4th place with a total of 4.5. Cosmic X23 was 5.3. And again, it's going downward, so the lower the number, the better. Phoenix Storm at a 4.5. And I think this is a good place for her, because she is really, really powerful. The fact that she's just a breath weapon, and she deals, as breath weapons do, deals it to your opponent and to their board. It's just the getting it to line up and all that. That's the tricky thing. But I think it's better than Blink in Betweener, because it deals damage to your opponent. Even though Blink in Betweener is auto KO, I think it's better than X23 because it deals damage to your opponent. And you don't have to get it on its one side. It does it on every side. I think it's better than Sark Colossus because it... I don't know. I just think it is. I guess because Sark Colossus has a better option now. Yeah. I think it's better than Emma Frost, but not by much. Personally. Not by much, though. But we have Phoenix Storm, and I think it's a cool ability, too. It's fun. I would mess around with this if I had this card, but I don't have this card. But what card I do have... Actually, scratch that. I might not even have the next card, too. Dang it. Pop back over to this spreadsheet. So this was 4th place. 3rd place, I think we can all kind of guess what 3rd place is because we know the top 2. At least I think we know the top 2. Boop. Mimic in 3rd place, which makes a lot of sense because the ability is really powerful, and we can all kind of just agree the ability is powerful. The ability to just pick something really good and become a copy of it is really powerful, but I think we all just struggle to put it around something that is competitive and a meta. I think you can run this card on like a lot of casual teams, and it's really good. Like if you run a 7-cost dragon, this is a 5-cost version of said dragon that can use the breath weapon. Because if you buy 2 7-cost dragons that are the same dragon, you can't use the breath weapon for both because it's like a weird win attacks version. It's like a weird win attacks ability. But this is the 3rd best. So it has a lot of casual possibilities, but not a lot, at least that I can see, that makes it good and competitive. Yes, I think that's a great point on Mimic. The fact that it can switch back and forth within the same turn is pretty cool. So definitely makes it one of the top 3. And though unfortunately it does not beat the top 2. So the question here, and this is one of the ones that I had coming in, is what people thought the best super rare was in this set, because in my mind there is some debate between which is first and which is second. And funnily enough, if we were to take, and let me double check that my numbers are correct because this is actually kind of important because it is very close. If we were to take the numbers for both and average them out like I've done, then coming in with a score of 2, it's weird to say, with a score of 2, is Jubilee, right? Is Jubilee, which is interesting because this card's insane, but I think I actually put this second as well. And most people have this as their money super rare from this set, which is not a bad argument. I think there's several money super rares in this set, but a lot of people said that this was the number 1 that you wanted, and I think you still do want this card, but ranked second. Now, if I were to take out the one person that ranked this 5th, but I'm not going to do that. If I were to take that out, then I take the one person that ranked the other one 3rd, what would happen? Because we now know. No, it wouldn't matter because more people ranked Jubilee 3rd best than ranked Boom Boom, which is number 1. Let's jump over to Boom Boom. Boom Boom. More people ranked this number 1, and more people ranked this number 2 than Jubilee, which scored, let me show you the straw poll. Jubilee scored 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Refresh. Jubilee scored a ton of 1s. Ooh, scratch that. Hold on. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Let me double check my numbers one more time. How embarrassing would that be? It wouldn't be that bad. Let me just punch this back in. 6 votes for 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got that. Then 3 votes for 2, 2, 2. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. It's the exact same thing. So there's that. Actually, it would have switched it by like 0.1. But right now, with everyone's votes counting and not me taking away something else, this card is number 1. And Jubilee is number 2. And I think these are both very, very good cards. And I think that this one earns the number 1 spot in my mind just because you could put it on anything. You can put it on everything. Jubilee is great, but you have to build around Jubilee to a certain extent to make her really powerful. Now, she does get really powerful, and the fact that she's a 2-drop over a 3-drop is surprisingly important because you can really easily get to a 2-drop and combine that with Cube, which her ability works with great. Versus the 3-drop. Oh, not that one. The 3-drop. There it is. 3-drop Boom Boom. which still is really good with Cube because it's basically the same ability, but Jubilee goes a little harder in the paint when it comes to Cube versus Boom Boom. That being said, I think the fact that you can put Boom Boom on any range of teams because she triggers off of anything that's in the field versus just like sidekicks or bolts or villains makes her a really, really good super rare set. So that's the list we've got one more time going through. In 8th place is Blink In-Betweener. Then we've got Emma Frost and Sark Colossus, Cosmic X-23 in 5th, Phoenix Storm in 4th, Mimic and Jubilee in 3rd and 2nd, with Boom Boom edging out Jubilee just a little bit, just a tiny bit, in 1st place. And the way I ranked it, and feel free, post in the comments what your rankings were. Like if you had to give every single person, every single card a number, right? So every card has to have a different number. You can't tie things. If you were to do that, what is your arrangement? Mine is this, and I will give a moment for you guys to type that out if you're interested. Here's my arrangement. All right, I'm going. Going from worst to best, or least powerful to most powerful. Blink In-Betweener, Cosmic X-23, Sark Colossus, Emma Frost. So that's 5th, right? Emma Frost. I should count down. Blink, Cosmic X-23, Sark Colossus at 6, Emma Frost at 5, Phoenix Storm at 4, Mimic, Jubilee. I actually had Jubilee as 2nd as well, just because she, again, needs to be built around. And Boom Boom, because she can go on anything, in 1st place. So that's my order, and it's very similar to what you guys think overall. So if you differ in any way, shape, or form, post it in the comments below, and we can talk about why. See what we think about that. Yeah. What set you want to do next? You want to do an old one? Do you want to do a new one? Do you not want to do rankings, and do you want to talk about something else? Like, because I can come up with like topics for us to speak on, and we can discuss them. Like, how do we feel about the state of the game switching over to possibly switching over to a living card game versus a trading card game? How do you guys feel about that? Do we think it's going to? Do we think they're going to nix completely the blind model, or do we think that they're going to keep draft packs and do away with gravity feeds, or do we think that they're going to release like one gravity feed set? Like, we could talk about that stuff if you want. We could do that. Like even before next week, we could just pop on and talk about that stuff. I find it interesting. That's one of my favorite things about this game is that the community loves to sit down and talk. And I personally find that really interesting and really fun, is that everyone's really friendly, and that's a good comment. Everyone's really, I like to be able to point up here. Everyone's really friendly in this community and interested in sharing ideas and thoughts about the whole thing. Ooh, Tomb of Annihilation. We should do that one. So that's a vote for Tomb of Annihilation. Let's do a straw poll. If you're still in the chat, we're going to do another straw poll. All right. What are the options? Which set of SRs should we rank next? Why did I capitalize the word set? I don't know. Why is it still capitalizing the word set? It's just doing it on its own. Options are TOA, Tomb of Annihilation. Options are, give me some more options. Tomb of Annihilation. We could go way far back and go Yugioh. We can go AVX, the original, the OG. We could do, here's a really random one, Green Arrow and the Flash. There's some terrible super rares in Green Arrow and the Flash. We could sit down and do that. Other weird ones. You know, Faerun Under Siege would be really interesting. FUS. That would be really interesting. That's 5. That's enough. That's enough votes. That's enough things we could go with. Create poll. Copy the link. Copy the link. All right. Work backwards. We can do that. Batman's a good one. Sure. Sure. Tell me what you think. I would be down for any of these, so I'm not even really going to vote. I'm just going to hit view results. Green Arrow and the Flash has terrible super rares. And if you don't believe me, let's do Green Arrow and the Flash to prove how bad the super rares are. Because those are not good. If you want to sit down and just roast some cards together as a community, let's sit down and roast Green Arrow and the Flash as a set. Top to bottom, Boom Boom, Jubilee, Mimic, Phoenix Storm, Blink, Emma, SAR, and Cosmic X23. AVX. AVX is a good one. Worst set to best set with SR. Let's go from terrible to great. Worst set to best set. So we'd have to sit down and decide what the worst set of it, what the worst set of super rares is first, would we not? Or do you just want my opinion of what the worst set of super rares is, and then we go from there? Because I could give that if we want. Let's see. Let's see what everyone's voting. I stopped looking at the screen. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Only 3 people votes. No, hey, look. Vote in the comments. Or not vote in the comments. Vote in the straw poll. Tell me, do we do Green Arrow and the Flash, Tomb of Annihilation, Yu-Gi-Oh, AVX, or Faerun Under Siege? I could just pick like I did with this one. I just picked, what do you call it? Just picked X-Men First Class. I could just pick, but it's more fun if you guys are interested in it, which is my opinion. Click. Right now, this is the voting. So what you guys think? More refreshing. Green Arrow and the Flash. Looks like we want to roast some cards. I'm all for that. Come on. I am all for sitting down and just making fun of all the Black Lanterns in that set because they are bad. And the Flash. Oh man, let's talk about how the Flash has never gotten a good card. Because it's true. The Flash has never gotten a good card. Oh man, it's so bad. I don't think the promos were even good for the Flash. So we can. UXM was the worst. UXM was pretty bad. This one could be pretty bad too. All right, so looks like we are going to. Let me refresh it. Unless I change my mind sporadically, looks like we're going to talk about some Green Arrow and the Flash and make fun of some cards. So we'll do that next time, or maybe we'll combine it. Maybe we'll do like that plus something else. Either way, I hope you guys liked hanging out and talking about some cards and voting and seeing your rankings. And if you didn't, then I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. I'll figure something more entertaining out next time. But we'll hang out and we'll talk about maybe the state of the game alongside ranking those terrible Green Arrow and the Flash super rares. We'll talk about, what could we talk about? We'll talk about how everyone likes the cube. We'll talk about how the Warhammer 40K set is going to revolutionize Dice Masters. We'll talk about, we could talk about all the ways that you can think of dealing 20 damage in 3 turns, starting at turn 1. So you have 3 turns, you have to deal 20 damage. That would be a fun topic. 3 turns, deal 20 damage. Let's do that. Okay, Green Arrow and the Flash, plus you've got 3-turn lethal starting on turn 1. And the stipulation is that your opponent literally passes. He rolls 4 energy, or she rolls 4 energy, buys nothing, and passes. No sidekicks fielded. So it's like free open board, figure out how to deal 20 damage in 3 turns, not 4 or 5. That is what we will do next week. Hope you guys had a good evening, and I will see you again next time.